23, 2015. And I was reading on the internet and it was about, after I watched tornadoes and hurricanes, and they're going, where would be the best place to live? And everybody's going, there's nowhere really, because there's floods, there's earthquakes, or not earthquakes, but earthquakes, yeah, earthquakes, floods, earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, no matter where you live, it doesn't matter. You know what the best place is? I call it my rock, my paper, scissors. I call it my rock, paper, scissor place to live. And that's in a hill, Go back to the caveman, where the caveman used to live. He used to live in a cave, on a hill or a mountain. And call them mountain men, or people, mountain people or hill people. You're elevated, so no chance of flood, or very little. It'd have to be a Noah's Ark type of flood, but whole earth-wide flood to get you, and you'd be the last to go too. But flood can't get you. If you're over, say, 100 feet up, flood can't get you. A tornado can't get you, because if you're inside that, tornado doesn't do jack to a hill or a mountain. I don't care if it's an F5 been spinning like this in the same place for 10 hours. That mountain's going to stand up. The mountain's going to be the strongest ever, because all that is earth. And as long as you're within a few feet inside that mountain or that hill, that F5 has been there spinning for 2 hours in the same spot, not moving, which they all move. That you're just, so what? Because it ain't gonna move it. It's not gonna move rock. It's not gonna move a hill. It's not gonna do it. Never has, never will. Okay, so that you can't be touched by a tornado and a hurricane. A hurricane is just a bigger area where the 2 hour scenario is possible, because it's so big. It just keeps swirling and swirling and swirling like this until it gets the eye wall, which is the strongest winds, the eye wall, which could be 2 miles away, 2 miles or 3 miles, even 10 miles. It can be 10 miles, the inside of a hurricane's eye, where, the hurricane itself spans 3, most hurricanes are at least 300 miles across, 300 miles across. And you can't be affected by a hurricane unless you live by an ocean, not like any lake around Michigan, or it can't be a lake. It's not big enough. The body of water is not big enough, so to create a hurricane, because a hurricane is created by water temperature, the difference between water temperature and air temperature, and the moisture. So a hurricane has a lot more moisture too, and more flooding. So even if a hurricane was by a mountain or a hill, and you're inside and it's like this for 2 hours, or even 24 hours, or 2 days, 48 hours, it's not going to affect you. Not inside a hill or a mountain. You only have to be a few feet inside. You don't even have to be inside that far, because that mountain is so fucking strong that there ain't no way a little hurricane, or even the biggest hurricane ever, let's say it spans 600 miles across, which is not unusual. And then therefore it stays longer, because while it's twirling like this, it's going like this, it's moving, and you're still hit by the wind. So when the winds from the back side of the eye comes, then everything goes like this. Everything was going like this. Now everything's going like this for 24 hours or 2 hours, or whatever, how long that hurricane and how fast it's traveling like that. It could be traveling real slow, or it could be going like that. It doesn't matter though. You're safe inside that hill, inside that mountain. you're safe. So you go as the caveman did, live in a cave. And when I say cave, I mean somewhere inside the mountain, but you can build like a house inside it. Like put the framework up and the walls and stuff like that, and it'd be just like a house. It's just you're on a mountain, and if you're on a mountain, there's no weather phenomenon that's going to get you. Not lightning, that'd be just a little bzzz like that outside. But if you're outside, yeah, you could get hit. If you're outside, yeah, you could get hit by all that stuff. But if you're inside, there's no way in hell. You're safe as a bug in a rug, bud. On a mountainside, there's no weather phenomenon that's gonna, probably not even a hurricane, or probably not even a earthquake. Probably not even an earthquake. How many times have you ever heard of an earthquake collapse in the inside of a mountain? Because you're talking about mass. See, when you're talking about mass, like a hurricane is a mass, a big mass, and tornadoes normally a fairly good sized mass, but nowhere near as big as a hurricane. Like it's like 1/1000th the size of about 1/1000th the size of any typical hurricane. Why? Because it's created over an ocean, the largest body of water on the earth. Okay, and that's the only way a hurricane can be. So if you don't live by the ocean, within say 1,000 miles of the ocean, probably you won't have to even be that far, probably 500 miles, because by the time when a hurricane hits land, right when it hits land, it begins to weaken because it's losing the strength of the water. It's losing its strength just as it hits land. It loses its strength because it no longer has all the water being sucked up in it, and it loses water as it keeps traveling. So, if you live in, like a state away from any ocean, then you're probably safe from a hurricane. Any severity of a hurricane, you might get some remnants of it, but it ain't gonna be that strong because it weakens as it goes on land. But mountain, it wouldn't matter. You live in everything, all weather phenomena when you live in a mountain or a hill, because you get all that mass of dirt. I was watching another show on tornadoes, because tornadoes, they develop very quickly and leave very quickly. So the chance of a tornado killing you, when you compare it to a hurricane. Because a hurricane, you got lots of time. You know where that hurricane's gonna go because it's of the mass. It doesn't just develop. Like it could develop. Tornado can develop right over your head, man. You could be traveling down down a highway in a car. That tornado, wouldn't be there in 1 minute, and it would be there the next minute. That's how fast a tornado can create. All of a sudden, like that. First the winds are going like this, like in a hurricane, and then they go smaller and smaller and smaller, like that, like that, and it's that quick that it can form. You wouldn't even see it. You can't see air anyway, so the air might be spinning, and you might not even be able to see it because you can't see air. You gotta wait until there's dust or something inside the air before you can even see it. So something that you can't see can kill you. A tornado is one of them. But Dr. Ted Fuji, he died back in '89, I think it was. But he did a drastic study on tornadoes, and one of his theories is, and it holds to be, it's probably fact, is all tornadoes have a multiple vortex around it. So they have the main tornado, they have little tornadoes, like 3 or 4 little tornadoes around the bottom that you can't see because it hasn't picked up the dust, because the tornado itself sucks that up. So it's got little vortex that most people can't see around the tornado. that you can't see that can kill you, and they dance around the main tornado. And I believe that theory. And another theory he has is updraft. The updraft theory. That's totally. He proved that one. He proved that one. Where airplanes were landing, and they landed okay, and some had a little difficulty, and one was pushed to the ground, and 113 people died, and there was nothing in the sky that they saw. And like I said, you can't see air. Okay, so that updraft goes like this, comes down, crushing down, and smash that plane to the ground. That's what happened. That Ted Fujiyama, he proved it. He was called in on the accident, and he proved it. The updraft feeds. That's the main difference between a tornado that only lasts a little while to a tornado that lasts, a long time, which goes over 100 miles path, has over 100-mile path. What the difference is between one that goes only a few blocks to one that lasts for 100 miles. That updraft keeps feeding it. The updraft keeps feeding it. Just keeps feeding. And that's why it can go 100 miles. Because you start out with a storm over here, say in Michigan, and you got the same damn storm 3 states away. Why? It's because of that updraft. The updraft keeps feeding it. Keeps feeding it. Now the other ones don't have that. They have an updraft, but not nearly as much and constant as one that travels 100 miles or more. But anyway, the safest place to be is the caveman. What the caveman did, they lived in caves. There's nothing that can hurt you. Now landslide, that can hurt you, but usually on a mountain, an established mountain or established hill, you aren't going to have a landslide unless you have some other weather phenomena that has occurred. It takes a long time to get the soil saturated and where it's going to do a landslide. But so you'd have about the amount of time you have for a hurricane to get out of the way, because you would know, because it takes a long time for the soil to become where it's going to do a landslide. So you're safe as a bug in a rug in a hill or a mountain. That's the safest place to live. Tornado can't touch it. That's like a little wind to a mountain. That's why you don't see, mountain people getting killed by tornadoes. It's because of that. You got all that. They said that you got all that rock and stuff, but what they say is you need 4 inches of high PSI, pounds per square inch, high pounds per square inch concrete, about 4 inches. You need 3/4 inch rebar, steel rebar, every I think it's every 6 inches or foot. I'm not sure what the distance is on that. Probably every foot, at least every foot of 1/2 inch rebar steel in high pounds per square inch concrete. That'll stop a tornado or hurricane or tornado. The wind damage, and it's not the wind damage anyway. It's the projectiles like the 2x4s and the studding and cars and like that. It's a projectile coming at a force of 150, 200 miles an hour. That's what it. Because winds can be 300 and some miles an hour in a tornado or hurricane. They can be a little over 300 miles an hour. But the projectile, to pick up the heavy projectile, it slows it down. So it's not going to be going 300 plus miles an hour usually. This is really small, like a straw going through a tree, like that. I can understand that. But when a heavier object, is lifted and has a projectile, it won't be going that fast. It can't be because of the mass of it or the heaviness of it. So that 4 inches, about 4 inches of concrete, high PSI concrete with um, half inch steel rebar every foot, going like that in your wall, will protect you from an F5 tornado. Then you have to do the ceiling like that too, otherwise it could, whatever is on the top part of the ceiling, it's going to lift off, and you're going to suck your ass out. But so it defeats your purpose. So you have to do the walls and the ceiling with the rebar and the high PSI concrete. It's not just regular concrete; it's high PSI, which means it's got a certain amount of aggregate, like little stones in it, and it's been vibrated, so it takes out the air bubbles. You vibrate it with a long like vibrator. You stick in there, vibrate it, and you just go like that with it throughout your wall. From the forms where your concrete is, you just keep going like that until you don't see no more air anymore, and that condenses it where it's more high PSI. So it depends on the aggregate. The only reason I know that is because I took a construction class and I know about concrete a little bit. And it's the aggregate in it, and like the stones, the size of the stones, and the vibration of it, the vibration of getting all the air out. That's what's going to create the high PSI, probably among other elements, like sand and other things you can stick in concrete. But that's going to be your best bet on against hurricane and tornado. As far as wind speeds are concerned and the power of a tornado or a hurricane, they're the same. A hurricane is much larger, and it always has to be by a body of ocean, a body of water called the ocean. It has to be a massive body because it's able to change temperature then. Lake like Lake Michigan and around the lake, that can't. It's not big enough of a body of water to change atmosphere where ocean is, and that's why you get hurricanes around ocean and not around a body of water like a lake. That's why that's why you get hurricanes at a massive ocean body and not a lake. And I'm Dan. Same time, same channel. See you then.